Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Saturday, the 26th of October. It's the time of the weekend webinar. Another eventful week, some new highs, some divergences. More importantly, let's take a look at the S&P 500, which in the last year has gone from 4,100 all the way up to 5,900 and change. Almost a double if you look at it from 4 to 6,000. Pretty amazing move. Probably one of the biggest one-year advances in history. Right now, you can see Friday's action bounced up near resistance and failed miserably, closing with a loss for the day. It could be a reversal day. We'll have to see if there's a downside follow-through. 57, 60, 63 range there is key resistance, support. And there's also a trend line that if we crack both of these, we're probably coming down to 50,700 in that area, where the 50-day moving average is, and lateral price support. That comes in around 56.75. So between 56.75 and 5,700 is a key level for me if we should crack. If we don't, it would go higher. 59.40 and then 6,000 and 30.40 in that area are potentials. What about the NASDAQ 100? Well, we made a new multi-month high, but the reverse as well. Although because the gap was so huge, it still ended up 119 on the day. But it closed 200 points off the high. So that's a pretty big reversal. We'll just have to see where they go next week. The 2-3 week low is 19,935 right there. And there's a trend line there, kind of a parallel channel line. So if it's going to go higher, we should spike and get up to 21.5, give or take 100 points. That's a long way from here. That's 1,200 points up. So, excuse me. Possibility if we get a blow off or breakout above the all-time high, we get quite the move. On the downside, this week's low and the prior week's low at 19,934 in that area is support below that 19,750. That breaks the trend line is the important one, and that's 19,350. So that's where we stand. Rising channel still intact. And you can see the long-term suggestion is that if we do get a monster year-end rally, et cetera, we could run some 2,000 points further. That's a little hard to believe, but hey, we shall see. What are the other two major indices I follow small caps doing? Well, the small caps got up to resistance and backed off to the 50-period moving average. The key short-term support is 214.5. And beneath that, 2089. Those are two levels to watch. On the upside, you break out above the triple top, 235 and 240.41 are your targets. Transportation, which in Dow theory forecasts would require a confirmation, has had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move. Now, we did get a breakout the week before last and got all the way up to 16,671, just slightly above that prior high, right at it. And prior to that, double top there. So this is a big area for the transportations. And if they do break out and the market runs and transportation is running with it, we might see an advance of some 2,000 points as well. So I'm looking for NDX and transportation to go up 2,000 points if we get a major spike up, breakout, blow off. On the other hand, if we fail here in that zone, this could come down some 800 points and test some key support. And that's where we stand with the indices, and it's kind of still touch and go with a little bit of divergences going on. And they're not bullish, they're bearish, because the pullback in the transportation and in small caps are not confirming the advances in NASDAQ and the S&P, although the S&P, as you know, had a bad reversal Friday. Let's take a look at the underlying technical indicators. McClellan oscillator, which had come down. Notice the lower peaks, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, showing less buying intensity on each rally. That's always a negative. We've come down to minus 98 on Friday. Not steeply oversold, but we've gotten down about 140.50 3-4 times since May, each time bouncing off that area. A deeper retrace, we get us down about 200, 250. So it's kind of set close to neutral, maybe a little negative right now. The VIX, a volatility index, has been vacillating in a range between 15.5 and 24, and right now it's 2033, up about 6.5% Friday. So fear increasing a little bit. I would be real bearish if this market took a pop above 20, 24, 23.75, something, and then started to run, because that would mean the market's caving, in my opinion. The percentage of stocks above their 40 is also deteriorated. Now there's only 4 out of 6 stocks are above their 40. That's quite the negative. When you see markets making nominal new highs with less participation, you have and some negative divergences. You have a very vulnerable market. That's what I'm thinking about. Okay, so that concludes a look at the underlying technicals. What about the major components? This is important, of course. Apple is like 6-7% of the market, so really amazing. But take a look. After spiking to 237-ish, 237.5, getting up near the 237.23 range. Actually, we got a nominal new high by a few cents. It's pulled back 7 points on the 50 on the trend line. So important. The last week's lows at 227 are going to hold for Apple. We'll see on Monday. Next support, 221. And then there's a big one at 215. Actually, 214. All right, so those are numbers to keep in mind for Apple. And on the upside, a break to 237.5 could get us to 250. Amazon also doing well, although Friday you can see there's a line of resistance in here, having a tough time getting back above 191.5. Now bouncing for 2 days, holding 183.5 range. A move below that would test the earlier October lows when we backed off to 180. Below that, that's a problem. You can see the long-term play on Amazon shows a long 1, 2, 3, 4. We're changing some trend lines for you. Give you a little bit more accurate longer-term read. You can see that coming off this low, we're now forming some sort of corridor wedge that, if broken out to the upside, could lead to 235.40. Huge move for Amazon. So if Apple and Amazon and some of the others you're going to see now make that break, we'll get a spike up blow off. If not, they may cave in this area. So this is really critical the next week or two, I think, to determine what goes on in the markets. Microsoft, well, it was looking kind of head and shoulder-ish, but with this last move up to the resistance line, now looking more like a large wedge is formed. Now, in the course of things, over the last year, that's your rising channel. And if this is a large 1, 2, 3, 4, then again, a big major fifth wave from Microsoft, for example, could get us up to over 500, maybe as high as even 520. That's 80, 90 points from here. I think the key is going to be on Microsoft getting it up above 441, 42. Then you're on your way to retest the highs or above. NVIDIA, unbelievable. With everybody talking about how, don't be in NVIDIA, don't buy NVIDIA, NVIDIA is due for a big pullback. How about this long-term move? In just 2 years ago, that's all. NVIDIA was split adjusted under $11 a share. Here it is, 14 times that in 2 years. And if you look at this as a major move, it's probably a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, some would look at it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and a potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. So 1, 2, 3 overall, this is wave 4. The fifth wave could be a monster, all the way up to 200 plus. Maybe more. Where's the short-term support? You really ideally don't want NVIDIA below 128, 129, and then supports 124 and 117. A breakout could, again, spike this into a very high territory. Meta was making new all-time highs recently. It's pulled back, but it looks pretty orderly. And let's just see if it holds the trend line and the 50-day moving average, both of which look like they're about 551 in that area. And a breakout above 585 could get you back to test 605 and maybe as high as 635 if the channel top is tested. Now, from this point, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth wave to get you, as I said, 645. So the market's touch and go either way. Anytime you're at the bottom of a pattern, we can either break or break out. Same thing here. This is a bull wedge. Netflix broke out, new all-time highs, folks, and traded all the way up to 773 in multiple waves up. Not sure where this is done. I will tell you this. For me, 736, that gap across here is your first key support. If it breaks below that, you can start to come down pretty hard. Next support is 707 and 680. And Tesla, I would think significant move. A very surprising, very bullish report on earnings. And you can see this level across here was key resistance. It blew through it with a gap, blew through all the moving averages, the VWAP, and ran and closed near the upper end of the range for the entire week. This spike high, the recent spike high was 271. Friday's high was 269.5, so we're right there. And the extension here, you're looking at 300, 307. Pretty impressive, and I would strongly look at the TSLL. That's my fave. It went, about 888, 1384 for 5 points in 2 days. And it only traded, get this, 151 million and 147 million. In 2 days, 300 million shares traded. So that kind of thrust on volume usually leads to this kind of a move. I'm thinking Tesla makes a run at this TSLL at 17.5, and then maybe 21, 22, 24.5, something like that over the next few weeks. It must, provided Tesla, of course, the parent company, does well. Okay, let's turn our attention to some of the major ETFs we follow closely, like semiconductors. Here's the SMH. Long-term pattern is impeccable. This came down, bounced from the right-handed extended V, and ran up, and now is a platform. It did back off resistance from here at that gap. 264 there. 262.5 there. So pretty close to key resistance. We get to 264. The target's 285 to retest the high. And the downside key support for me is 239 and then 233.34. The financials have suddenly turned weak on us. Maybe interest rate related, but take a look at the last 4 days are down days, with Tuesday's action coming on very big volume for this ETF. It's a triple bull. Note that the wedge broke out the week before and it ran like the wind to channel top near resistance. It backed off. Now that's normal. I don't like this bearish engulfing bar on Friday near the trend line and near the 21-day moving average. Below that is 131.5. That's your next key support. I'll go with 134 and 131.5. Below that, big problems. What about biotechs? A little bit more neutral. They were up 3 in the last 4 days, but the last 2 days they closed at the lower end of the range. And it's still below this declining tops line or within a wedge. So I'm going to need this to get up over 134 with some energy. And then maybe you're on your way to 150, 152. And then you have a chance at 177 near the multi-year high. But you can see going back then, it constitutes a major kind of an inverse head and shoulders. So if biotechs are going to have a generational type move or whatever, they're going to need to break out just for starters on the LABU over 152.3. The downside key support is just beneath here at 113.14 zone. And then the big one about 100, 99 to 100. So that's where those ETFs stand. Let's look at some gold and silver. How about the GDX? Now, gold, as I told you the week before, was close to hitting the channel top. Well, by Tuesday it did that. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were not good days for gold. That's the ETF for the major golds. That's his AGQ for the major silvers. The difference was on Friday, this came down to the prior high and bounced. So net, it was up 1%. Overall, you can see some key resistance up here. But if you're looking at the long-term trend line, if there's another advance, this goes to 53, 3.5 for the AGQ. If we can hold support on the GDX, your next target is 45. Two of my favorites are NUGT and JNUG. You can see they also came down hard off the high. And JNUG came down, but not as hard. They're more of the junior golds. Support there comes in right about where it came down to. So let's see if we can get this one back up. Your next target is 68. That's a big move for JNUG. Oh, so that covers, and let's do take a look at gas. Gas was up like 17 cents on Friday. It was up every day last week, and it's right at resistance near the declining moving averages. So a move over 9 3/4, 80, probably gets you to about test the 1070 area, and then we're looking at 12 1/4. Those are targets for next week if we break out. If we break out, the reason why I'm even bringing that up is because there's a triple bottom here that could be constituting an important base for natural gas symbol boil. So I want to also cover lithium by looking at the lithium ETF lit, which went from 36 to 49 in a week and a half. It pulled back right to the breakout point, bounced on Friday. I think lithium stocks in particular look pretty good. I'm going to be showing you a few later on today. And uranium, URA, has had a big move. It's essentially a 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, we may have a little leg up, but this is the highest level the URA has ever reached in its history, ever. 33.99. Back in May, it tagged 33.66. So just a nominal new high and then a pullback. And again, I'll show you some of those stocks a little later on today. But that's a run through to some of the major ETF groups we follow. And let's get to the stocks. We got a bunch of them. I had eliminated about 40. There were so many. And most of these are stocks we're interested in or trading or swinging or whatever. AAOI has been on my list just about every day for the charts of the day as it keeps moving up beautifully. Now, over the last week, it's pulled back. It's pretty quiet. It's on support. Key support for me now, about 16.5. The resistance is 20.5, and the target is 24.5. AEA chart with a big pop on Friday broke out of that wedge. Remember about 2 weeks ago I said this is an explosive pop, and the pullback, it looked like a buy opportunity. Well, I was remiss in not giving it to you, but I'll tell you what, targets are now 18.5, 20, and 21.5. AEM, this is the first of the major golds that I'm going to be reviewing. A big base, wedged, double bottom, broke out. Look at that stair step move up. And it's bouncing nicely. This is one of the stronger ones. My target now is 95. AGI is a junior gold, a beautiful rising channel with a target now of 23.4. AGQ, we showed you that ALAR is one of our current tech trader swings after had a beautiful run up here. It came down pretty hard, but it broke back out, and that's the day I put swing on it, around 12 or so. Within a few days, it was 21.5. That's how strong that one is. Pullback looks rather muted, although Wednesday was an ugly day for it. It was on a fairly low volume. It did hold the breakout point right there. And so I'm waiting to see if this flag breaks. If it does, it could result in a monster move to at least 24.5. So let's look for a 22 and 25 next for ALAR. AMLX, something new I've been following, rounding bottom, trending, broke out of a wedge. Next target, about 6 1/4 and then 7. APLD, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th waves underway. It did pop and pull back a little bit over the last 3 days. Still looking for 11. Apps, a large wedge. We've had a tech trader swing when it broke out here. It went to the first target, and then pulled back. Over the last 2 months, it's been wedging. Needs a breakout. over 360 with energy. Targets 4 3/4 and 6. AQST, Aquesttive, broke out of a downtrend, wedged, flag, going again, target 6 and 7.5. ASTS was a great swing for us from May through August, and it literally went from mid-single digits to nearly 40, an 8-fold increase. But it's finally come down for a couple months and consolidated, now starting to pop again. On 2 occasions last week, it popped and pulled back. And on Friday, it took a bit of a dip but closed positively. So it's kind of consolidating in this zone. I really needed to hold right about Friday's low of 24.565. Key targets 30.31 and 35.6. Atamera, one of our favorite plays. This one went ballistic from 2 to 45 or something back in 2020, if you remember. But after a long multi-year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wave decline, massive, it's finally broke out of the short-term declining channel and popped. Usually when they pop and form this kind of a coil, you know I'm interested because that's my kind of chart. I'm calling for a swing on Atamera for about $1.4050 from here. That's about $4.75, at least 4.5, something up there. Then we're looking for 5 3/4, 6. BEKE was a tech trader swing after it popped and exploded. It did well with that one, reaching the target and then pulling back. Almost an island reversal that day, and then a pop and little flag in here. If it gets above 21.50 next week, buy it for a run to 23, 25, 26. BLCO, Bausch and Lomb, I'm hearing takeover, base, breakaway move, falling wedge, pop, and another one might get this into the mid-20s. BMEA, after breaking down in June, started a new uptrend that took it from under 4 to over 13, more than tripled. It's at resistance, but it's still channeling. Next target is 15. Bristol Myers broke out, pulled back. We put a swing on it. It went from 47 to 55, and now it's pulled back. It's wedging again. It's on support. If it gets to 55, 59 is the target. Bioventus, a beautiful chart. Literally, it's gone from under $1 to 13 in the last couple of years, but recently the run-up has taken it from 5.5 to 13. Based on this angle, my target is 16. BYRN popped and broke out. We put a swing on it. It worked out well, but then it got hammered on earnings. Ran back up. It's forming a wedge. I really don't need this one underneath 13. That's your stop. My targets are 17, 19, and 22. And maybe my favorite stock right now, CAPR with a breakaway gap, explosive 3-day move, a 2-day pullback on low volume, and another pop, rising angle, basically a 1, 2, 3. This is wave 4. 4 is a large bull coil. So get above 23.5. We're looking at 29, 35, and even 40 as possibilities. Could fly. Stay tuned. We'll find out. CCJ, the leading purveyor of uranium, long-term chart is impeccable. Recently made a nominal new high, backed off. Keep an eye on support at 52.5. Your targets at 59 and 65. CGC, after 5 or 6 months of decline, popped out, Tuesday, pulled back and held at 50, popped again Friday. I like the look of this. My targets are 6, 7, and 8. Celebrate. What a beautiful rising channel. Doesn't look like it's done. My target is 20. CMPO breaks out of a base. Beauty too. With a big spike up, rising flag, and rising channel. Where's it going? 17 and 19. Cogent Biosciences exploded, pulled back, and then started a new up channel, which has a target now of 13 3/4 and 15. COM breaks the base, wedges, pops, retests, spikes and breaks out. That's the one bar that took it. Flag and another flag. And although this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, I think the 5th wave takes you to 11. CORT in a beautiful long-term basing type pattern broke out, pulled back and held, and then exploded from 34 to over 50. The stock is now pulling back and consolidating, but I think it reaches 55.58. Nice recovery on Coya the last 2 months. After getting down under 5, it popped to 6 and change and pulled back and set up a nice platform for about a month. There's your breakout. Wedge, 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 pop, pull back. Reversal Friday after meeting a new high at 10.14, finishing at 9.01. So, not the best close. And maybe it needs some time to consolidate, but your next target is 11 and 14. How about CRMD? Pop right there, break it out. Flag, pull back to test. Breakout, rising channel. Wow, is that impressive? How about 3.5 to 13? And still going, target 17. Corvus, nice base. Breakout, flag, pop through resistance, pull back and retest, and go. Targeting 10. Dell, after having a monster move, 1, 2, 3, wave 4 is underway, but it may be starting as it hit a V bottom and a platform and broke out. I think the stock would be good to hold, and my stop would be under 112 or so, but anything over 132, 131 probably leads to 145.50 or more. DJT and a powerful rising pattern with another good day on Friday, again another 4 points. Targets of 46 and 54. DQ, when the Chinese stocks erupted, this exploded. It did give you a big pullback about 0.618, but what a recovery. So it's looking to me like it wants to go higher with the first target at 30. EGO in the gold sector, junior gold with a great rising channel and holding has a target of mid-20s. ERJ, a tech traded swing when it broke out, has run up from 19 to the mid-30s, actually reaching 37, pulled back, and now moving back up again. Above 37, 41.2 is the target. EVGO exploded 2 weeks ago, has a rising flag and very bullish configuration coming out of the base on a long-term downtrend. At this point, I'm looking for 11 and 13. EWTX popped into last year, went through several months of consolidation, had a big breakaway gap in September with a beautiful wedge, and now it's running. Friday was a nice day for it. All-time highs are coming up. So let's see if they can test this level at 40. That would be your next target. EXK, a junior silver stock, and breaking out and flagging, looking excellent. I think the stock has more to go, but there is some overhead resistance right up there. Nevertheless, your target is about 6. FCX, this is copper. Double bottom breakout. We put a swing on it, right up to the target and pull back. A little bit of price pressure on copper lately, but it's right on support here. At least the FCX is. Needed to hold right there. Your measure move, retesting 51.2 and then getting up to 55.6. FEIM, breakaway gap, and a large wedge. Just as an institutional client of mine's one of her top 5 favorites. Look at the long-term move. And in essence, it's for me, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm looking for a 5th wave to 17. Flex, tech trader swing, broke out. We put a swing on it. It backed off, and now it's channeling. My target's 38 and 41. Junior silver, Mexican silver stock, Gato, has run from 3 3/4 to 20 in the last year. Target 24.5. GDS in a beautiful rising channel and consolidating. The next leg potentially 27 and 30. GVO spiked up, coiled, broke out. It looks like it may be setting up another flag or coil here. Target 5. Oh, by the way, just a chart on GLD, which is the ETF for the gold trust. Now at a new all-time high at 256 as gold hit $2,700 plus. GRRR broke out. I put a swing on it. It ran up for a day and then backed off, but I hope I'm looking for this to hold and move up again, targeting 5 3/4, 6.5, and 7.25. Junior silver gold miner is Harmony Gold with a target of 15 and 18. HROW, powerful move, breakaway gap and flag. We put a swing on it. At that point, that swing extended from high teens to 60. That's a triple, but you can see this week it pulled back to support. If it does keep going, retest 59.60 zone and get up into the 69.70 zone. IAG, another junior gold with a great channel up with a target of 7 now. INOD breaks out of a large multi-month wedge, and you can see it's up almost every day the last 2 weeks. There was a 2-day pullback here. Needs to test 22 and then go to 25. INSG, beautiful rising channel. And thinking this stock is nowhere near done, looking for 32, 33. Big move from there. 25 first. IONQ has gone ballistic from a September low of 6.5 to almost 17. It actually tagged 17.05 Friday. The momentum target is 20, but be careful, but this one's overbought. IoT, beautiful long-term chart. Another internal trend line. Targets are 53 and 58. LAC in the lithium group, rounding bottom and getting volume. If you get straight through here, my target is 5. LI, Chinese EV manufacturer, broke out here, ran up to the target and pulled back to support and bounced. Target 35. Momentum, tech trader swing when it popped here and then pulled back and tested. It eventually ran from 50 to 70. The pullback here is testing support. Your channel target 76.7. Layered superfoods, what a dynamite chart. Love this pattern. Pop falling wedge, pop flag, pop long falling wedge, flag, flag, and pop again. This stock is literally gone from when we first spotted it on this here, from about the 2.5 range to 7.5. It's tripled. My target, believe it or not, 14. Another double. LTBR exploded and then had a steep pullback retest, but it held a moving average and popped on Friday. Keep an eye on this one. Your targets next week would be to test and take out 7.85 and then 8.5. If we do that, 10 and 12 are your targets. Lumen with a monster move in July, August, where it literally went from under $1 to nearly 8, and then coiled and retested but couldn't get through. Came down and retested again and couldn't get through. Bottom line is a triple top at around 7 3/4. If you get through it, you're looking at 9 3/4 and 12. Luminar with a pop flag, pop falling wedge, needs to get above, and keep an eye on this one for next week. Above 9, it can run. 10, 12, and 14 are targets. Mueller Industries with a monster move in the last 2 years. Watch this. The stock's gone from 8 to 82, tenfold. With a breakout last week, the stock has maybe more to go. Mankind breaks out of a big base. Believe it or not, is at the highest level we've seen in 8 years. And at this point, looking for 8 and 10. MP, we put a swing on it after it broke out. Here, extended, and it looks like a rising flag. This wants to go. Second largest rare earth company in the world behind China, as I think headed for low and then mid-20s, maybe high 20s. MSTX, the ETF for MSTR, recently IPO'd, but look at the way it's trending. 15 to 50, target 70. Neon. A beautiful breakout of a base and wedge. Went vertical and flagged and popped again. Now it's got a big wedge. After looking at what I'm looking at now, there's some key resistance up here. Should it break through, we could see 15 and 20. NET broke out of a base and we put a swing on it. It backed off the test. That's a flag. Target 96, 105. NNE in the power generator group, pretty powerful rising channel, but when it reached the target, it backed off this week. 100% drop dead stop under 15. Your targets are 24 and 29 and above. NRIX broke out on Friday. Beautiful rising channel. Where's this headed? Looking for 30 and 35. NTNX Nutanix with a big pop breakaway on August after this ugly decline. So a left-hand extended V at breakout on a platform. If we get to 65, the target is 72. Nuvalent, which popped out and we put a swing on it, coiled beautifully, but it broke down to retest the breakout point. Has to hold there. This is not a good looking chart. NXL, massive reversal on Thursday, a little bit of a follow through Friday, and then a pullback. I think this is more than a one day wonder. I'm looking for 4.25 and 5. OKLO, the other power generator, SMR is being the third, has 1, 2, 3, 4, and a big fifth wave up. So careful up here. But should it go some more? High 20s target. ONON, text rated swing when it broke out, has extended to the target zone and now flagging. Friday it popped, targeting 55 and 61. Oracle, love the long-term chart. I think it goes higher. I'm looking for $200. Pan American Silver is the other silver purveyor, along with Wheaton, that leads the way, targeting 29 and 33 eventually. PCT, V-bottom platform, retest, spike up, coil, and breakout. Needs some, consolidation, but my target eventually is 1920. PHUN has gone berserk, 3.5 in a couple of days to 8, and then a 4-day wedge, and then how about 1480? The stock's gone up fivefold in 2-3 weeks. The sharp pullback Thursday held support and it bounced, but it was an inside day. Keep an eye on this one. PLL swing trade worked out there and then pulled back. Right now it looks like it's poised to pop again. Over 12.5, the target's 15 and 17.5. Palantir, wonderful long-term chart. Little inverse head and shoulder breakaway gap. We've had a long swing on this one. It's literally gone from high single digits to mid 40s. Near all-time highs. May not be done. Your next target is 48, however. Philip Morris, big breakaway on earnings earlier in the week and an engulfing negative day Friday. But look at that chart. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave may not be done until it gets to 145. Poet with a pop flag, pop coil, pop flag. Looks awfully good to me. It's holding the trend line. As long as it holds 3.5, 60, I'd look for 5 3/4 and 7.5. Prime water breaks out of a base and just goes vertical at a 45-degree angle. Beautiful chart. Strong angle of ascent. 34 target. Peloton, after reversing and platforming, broke out of a flag this week. My targets are 7.25, 8.5, and 10. PayPal broke out of its base, retested it, ran up. So at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave advance with a rising flag. May not be done. I have a target 87 and 92. QFIN, long coiling narrowing base, breakaway gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, rising flag, 40 and 45 targets. Rail, another breakaway gap, a break out of the base, a strong rising channel is still in play. It has been for 2-3 months. The stock has gone from 3 to 15, nearly. Target 18. RDW, that's red wire, breaks out of the base, stair steps this way higher. I can see 11 and 13 in this. REFR, little low-priced puppy with a long decline that was broken here. The stock went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then consolidated for 4 or 5 months. Triple top needs to be taken out at 240. Then your target's 280, 320, and 4. Rocket Lab, big multi-year base. Falling wedge, flag, popped, another flag and go. The stocks look great. 13.5 3/4 target. Excuse me, RMTI broke out of a base here. Flagged, popped, falling flag. It's coming out again. Retesting 4.5 is your target, followed by 6. RNA has been a great swing for us. When it popped here, we caught it early in the low single digits. Well, let's call it mid single digits. It's come from about 6 to 50, folks. It broke out the week before last and reached over 50 before backing off 5 points. Still within the confines, above support and above the trend line for now. If it does go, 58 target. Resolute, beautiful rising channel. So it go from under $1 to 6, then a coil, a pop another coil, and then this week was a good one. It ran up every day this week, and now is attempting to test a spike high from way back in June at 6,610. You get to that, you're looking at 7 or 8. Sweet greens, popped and broke out. We put a swing on it, then it backed up. So it hasn't really followed through yet. The gut feel is it will. And if it does, the mid-channel target is about 50. Looking for 45 and 50. Segment, little base, broke out, pull back, and then a pop and flag. This is the tech trader swing. Key is getting this one over 6, 610, and you're looking at 7 and 9. SLI, another lithium stock coming out of a base, falling wedge pop. Get this to 2.5, 3 and 3 3/4 of targets. Summit exploded in at the very end of May and then flagged. From there, at 7, it's exploded to 33 and change and pulled back. It looks like a 1, 2, and a 3, 4. We get a fifth wave, we might see double from where it is. Speaking of that, SMR 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave's underway with a 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the next wave takes you to mid, high 20s. SOFI, Sofi, breakout, run, and sharply so. Momentum could take this to 11 3/4, 12, and then 13, 14 zone. SRTS, a big reversal of the downtrend end of the last year. It's taken it back from under 2 to 7, but it's coiling in here and should it break out, I'm looking for 8, 9, and 10. SVM, Silver Corp, breaking out of a base pattern, has a lot of room to go, I think. 6.5 and 9 are targets longer term. Talk, we had a swing on us here. It did well for a while and then came all the way down. Reversed, and now a new tech trader swing. 3.5, 4, and 5 are targets. TCNNF, mate, one and only and favorite cannabis stock right now. Long-term rising channel. Come out of a wedge, popped here. That's where we put the swing on it. It's gone from about 10 3/4 to 13 3/4. The targets are 15 to 17. Tigo, beautiful rising channel. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a hard call in terms of that, but 31 and 34 are your targets for Tigo. Alpha Technova, that's TKNO, pop flag, pop long flag, and another pop and flag. Looks like it's going to stair step its way higher. 8 and 9 are targets. Repositrack, TRAK, what a wonderful chart that is. A long 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, I think. Fifth wave target is mid-20s. Trupanion base, after a multi-year decline, broke out there, flagged, and popped. 65 and 75 are targets. TVGN, spectacular breakout after coming way down, literally down at the pennies, 26-cent low. A high yesterday, 310. Tenfold increase in just 2.5 weeks. Target on momentum, 4 3/4. TVTX, big breakout of a base, rising channel, extension target, 21 and 23. That's Unity Software, inverse head and shoulder breakout. We put a swing on it and went to target number 1 and pulled back. Looked like it was coiling. Not a good day Friday, but it's right on support. Needed to hold right there and retest 23 and then 26. ULS, since the IPO in April when it was in the low 30s, it went to the mid 50s and now it's coiling. Looks like one of those stocks that could fly. 60, 65 targets. UPST breaking through double top, forming a beautiful flag in here. Should it go? 62 and 72 targets. Viking Therapeutics finally popped after months of consolidation. Thursday and Friday, this is a breakout. I'm not sure how far they take it, whether it's a takeover or not. My targets are 89 and 99. Verona, beautiful stair-step move up. Doesn't look done yet. High 30s, low 40s target. VST in the power generating group. Consolidating in this area with a falling wedge. The entire pattern could be a consolidation for the next leg up, but could take it substantially higher. Wave breaks out of a base, forms a wedge, pops with a falling wedge, and then pops again. Right now, Friday was a good day for it. I'm looking for a retest at 12.5. WGS long-term swing. We put it out in May when it was around 12. It's now made it up to 60. 5-fold increase. 61.41 to be exact. And you can see a bull, ascending bull coil of sorts, targeting 70. Walmart, fantastic pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a little extended. Channel top target, however, 85.6. WPM, that was Wheaton Precious Metals, is the leading purveyor of silver in the world, I believe. It's now at multi-year all-time highs, ever. So this one could make a big move. If silver does, I wouldn't be shocked to see it go to 75, 90, 100, whatever. Wolf, breaking out of a base, pulling back and wedging, and popped on Friday with big volume for this stock. 240 million, really? At this stage, a lot of volume. Next target for me, 10, 11 zone. Wave breaks out of a base, pops, forms a 2-day flag, and explodes again. It's literally gone from 570 to 1592 and tripled in a week. That's a pretty big price volume thrust. My target is 20. YOU, that's Clear Secure. It's had a big move in the last 3 weeks. You can see it popped and ran hard. I love the way this looks, targeting 41.2. Look at that wave chart, pop flag, so that's why I'm interested in this one. Okay, moving on, Zeta, this is the final, I think there's one more, that's it. Last long is Zeta, which we did great with, as it popped here, flagged, and I put a buy on it around 12. It made it into the 30s, but this is an island reversal up here, folks. Very negative. The stock gaps up one day and gaps down the next and forms a little island. It's usually a bottom or a top, and sure enough, the stock has come down from the 33 range into the 25.6 range. Be careful. I'll go over a few shorts, including a few new ones, and we'll call it good for today. APPF, no, that's not the one. Sorry. Yes, let's start with Halazine. So this is a new one I've picked out, and the reason I did is obviously a big uptrend showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, and then a breakdown, a bounce off support, a rollover to new lows. It looks like once he gets through 47, the stock could fall apart. Keep an eye on that one. LNW is another long uptrend, big breakaway gap to the downside, and a big bear wedge. If they break this one, we're looking at 85 and 78. Logitech breaks this trend line as well, with a breakaway gap to the downside on volume. Love to see a little bounce back to 83.4 for an entry op, and then your target 76 and 66. MOH, big nasty drop to support. Love to see it bounce because this looks toppy to me like a head and shoulders. Any break here and the stock is to fall away. Be careful. NDX-X broke down and finally getting a little snapback. Shorting opportunity 124.5 for move down to 107 and below. NVO, head shoulder, left shoulder, head right shoulder, breakdown, and a little bear wedge. Not sure why Novo Nordisk is going down the way it is, but here's a stock that went from high 40s to 146, almost 100 points, and it's now coming down. Targeting 107.6, 97.8, and 88. Qualcomm is still a tech trader swing short, and the reason is it's a head and shoulder top, a breakaway gap, a strong decline, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, and now this. So in essence, it's a 1, 2. If this wave comes down, we're looking at 150, 140, and 130. Not sure if that's going to occur, but that's what it looks like. Scorpio tankers, I'm noticing the whole shipping group starting to look like this. After a big run up in multiple waves, a massive head and shoulder top and a breakdown with a breakaway gap. Your next target on STNG, 53. Tidewater in the oil sector, which is getting weaker, although lately this has had a head and shoulder top and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline. So I'd be covering here for a bounce back, particularly if oil rallies. TNK, there's another shipper with a head and shoulder top and a breakdown. I'm looking for 45 and 39. Urban Outfitters, big rising channel that was broken with a breakaway gap to the downside of the bear flag, and a large bear wedge. If that bear wedge is broken, they take that low out, we're headed to 31 and 29. Weatherford still remains a tech trader short, although it's had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline. I would cover shorts here temporarily, and we'll see what happens. It also hit the bottom of the channel. And Yelp still looks lousy and it has for a year as it keeps going in bear flags and bear wedges to the downside. Should it crack the double bottom, I would look for 30. And that's it, folks. A long review of the longs, the shorts, the underlying technicals, the NASDAQ 100 generals, the major ETFs we follow, the indices, etc., and the market technicals, of course. Make sure you take advantage of my hard work. I spend several hours every Saturday morning to put this together for you. Believe you me, it's chock full of information and something you should be relying on for your trading week next week, for ideas and for levels, including support, resistance, trend lines, and moving averages like that. For now, HB out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Talk to you Monday.